Okay, so here's where we're at, viewers. Hi, can you see me? Basically, I am... my family's going through some stuff right now, and I'm just not in a place where I want to be starting our next book. And also, I didn't want to start our next book on a Wednesday, because Wednesday is the day I'm supposed to do not the book that we're working on. This isn't school. But, so basically tonight we're going to do a really chill art stream. I guess an AMA format. If anybody actually wants to drop questions in the chat, you're welcome to. There's not going to be too much talking from me. I might blather on a little bit. I will try, like, when I move from step to step to maybe explain the step a little bit, but it's not going to be that much from me, because I'm just not in the headspace, I guess you could call it, to be able to be performative. There, that's how we'll put it. I'm not in the place right now where I can be performative and entertaining. I'll put it like that. So, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to set things on fire. Not quite literally, although because of the coasters that I'm currently working with are quite thin, they do sometimes actually set on fire, literally. So, basically, I have this prototype set of coasters. They're the Warhausen comic book set. So these are the four wrestlers mainly being featured in the Warhausen comic book that got kickstarted a couple weeks ago. And there's four of them, so I want eventually 4 sets that I can then send to these wrestlers as my little, hey, quarantine sucks, have a present kind of thing. So tonight that's what we are working on. This one needs sealing. It's fine, we'll get to it. We'll get to that. So first of all, I have my haul from Amazon. Yes, please don't judge me. I know. But for me, for where I live currently in the world, and for the resources available at my disposal, Amazon remains the not the best way, but it remains the way that I can get things in a affordable for me manner. Because if I was actually going to buy all of these things offline on the websites, the separate shipping fees would begin to cripple me a bit. So I have tracing paper, and actually I'm gonna keep this piece of cardboard because I have a feeling it might come in handy for what we're gonna do next. So first thing to do is to all right, let's get going. So, what we're doing, we're reverse engineering stencils from these guys. And then we are going to use graphene paper to transfer those stencils onto new coasters, which I probably should have got first. Are we running out of coasters? No, we have a whole bunch. We're good, we're fine. And then After that, you take a slice of cork. So more posters. Here we go. I'm gonna be really careful of holes this time. So like, yeah, this one, that's a hole there, so that shouldn't be used. Anyway. So, I think I'm gonna start with Allie's because I think hers is gonna be the easiest. So, I'm also gonna eat because eating is important. Okay. So, we are followers only for chat, but I have, for tonight, made it so that as soon as you start following, you are allowed to start commenting. Partly because tonight the stream is right in front of me, and partly because my family wants to watch and I want to make things as easy as possible for them tonight. That being said, behave yourselves. I am really not in the mood for people to start trying stuff. So take that as your one and only warning. Anybody out there who was thinking of being gross, don't do it. I need tape. I'll be back. All right. So basically, what I'm gonna do is drop my scissors on the floor because that's super helpful. I am not going to need this whole piece of tracing paper. The stream is turning into how many supplies can Storyranger forget to have prepared when they thought that they had prepared all of their supplies beforehand. Okay, that's everything, right? This has gotta be everything. Okay. I have a garbage bin over here, so we should be good. Allons-y. So I'm just using this piece of heavy like very heavy cardstock. And I'm gonna tape the coaster that I'm using as a stencil down. See, it's easy for Allie because she has lots of white space on hers. And now I'm going to tape down the tracing paper and try and make it as tight to the as possible. Taut, we're looking for the word we are looking for. It's taut. Is this gonna work? Who knows? I'm hoping it does. So now I'm gonna take a number 2H pencil. And I'm gonna sketch out the stencil. Now, the thing about wood burning is that you're not going to like every time you turn the iron on, the iron is a different a little bit different. Like, especially if you're not using a fancy one. Like, I just have your run-of-the-mill, not fancy iron. It doesn't have any fancy, like, shows me what temperature it is at all times. It doesn't have any super awesome features like that. So for me, the thing about creating the stencil is mostly about having a guide for the placement, and then once I actually turn the iron on, a lot of it is going to be looking at these things to copy. So like these little triangles here on the original stencil, before I put it on this particular one, those were dogs. Sorry, not dogs, those were dots. And when I did them, because I didn't switch iron tips for this entire one, they ended up as triangles because that's what happens with my basic tip. If you... Bonjour, Sarah. Merci beaucoup pour mon mug. This dog mug. It's very cute. It says bonjour on it. I'm trying to have a bonjour day. We'll see by the end of it how that works out. Yeah. So anyway, I was talking about dotting. So because I was using my basic tip instead of a dotting tip, my dots came out as triangles, and I actually think they're kind of cute, so I'm probably going to keep it that way for this next one that I'm doing. The other thing about like the cursive, like I think on the original stencil, actually, why do I keep talking about original stencil? I freehanded this one in the beginning. So yeah, the original cursive, I just put like cursive and tried to do it as wide loopy as possible, but it was all like single line. It wasn't fleshed out because I knew that once you get the iron going, especially when it comes to curves, you don't necessarily get a huge amount of control about where the curves go. And I mean, obviously somebody who's been doing this for longer than what? How long have I been doing this? 3 months. Like obviously somebody who's been doing it for longer than 3 months is going to be able to be a master of getting curvature properly. But I am just a humble apprentice trying to learn how to do this thing. So now I'm going to take the stencil off, and if I like it, I'm going to ink it, and then probably transfer it to something a little bit more substantial. Yeah, I like that. So we're going to get a Sharpie. And we're going to ink this. How many have I made so far? So far there was a box that I don't have anymore because it got shipped to the person. So I was making wrestling headgear for a friend of mine who's an amateur pro wrestler, and as a gift for him, because I was very late with getting him his commission, I sent him a like, I don't know, 9x13. It was a box and it had his face burned into it. And then I've done, in this set, I have these 4. So that's like 4 that I've made in this set that I'm now trying to duplicate and turn into a set of 16, so 4 of each. I have these New Day ones that I made a while ago when the New Day released some coloring sheets and was like, coloring contest, let's see what you can do. And I was like, I'm bored, I don't feel like coloring, I'm going to burn them into wood. And before that, I had made these July Talk ones, which is essentially their first album cover with one of the most iconic photographs of them. Because the thing about wood burning is you're kind of wanting to look for images that are originally black and white or black and gray. If you really want to show off like the true wood burning, because you can go back and add color. I mean, most effectively, I'd say, when I went back and added color for Warhorse's face paint here. So it's black and gray, and then you've got the streak of red around his face paint, and I think that worked out really well. But ideally, if you're going to be doing this, and we could get into a whole debate. So like, and I also have like a couple, like I did a prototype of the Dan the Dad one, and it just looks like garbage. So that's why I changed it up. And then like, this is just me practicing. So I've done like, I don't know, how many is that? I've done 8, 9, 10, 11. I think I've done 11 so far. No, in the box, so 12. I've done 12 so far successfully, and a couple of other ones that like didn't go so well. Back to Allie's stencil, now that we're inking. This just is my way of saying, okay, I like the stencil, so I'm gonna make it permanent. And then the next 3 that I make, I'm gonna use this stencil to go. Thank you very much for saying that. It's actually, I want to give a shout out to my friend Taylor Sawatsky because she can do it with a magnifying glass. And I'm just like, to me, that is insane because I am the most impatient person in the world. But yeah, she has ones that she did at camp, and she did it with campers because obviously they can't give them soldering irons. That would be an absolute disaster. I have run exactly 2 camps where I gave the children soldering irons. And those were only because there was like 10 kids in each camp, and they were heavily under my supervision. So yeah, so I'm doing all of this with an iron, and imagine somebody doing all of this with a magnifying glass outside sitting on a rock. Which I think is incredible. Alright. But obviously, like, one of the things that they always say, and it's very true about art, and it's probably why I am not as successful at as many art forms as I possibly could be, is because a lot about art is just failing a lot of times and then getting better. And I am not fond of failing. It is not something that I really like doing. So there are certainly things like drawing and painting that I probably could get a lot better at, but I just get so frustrated. Because my drawings look like a child drew them. Because essentially a child did, right? Like, I haven't put any practice into that art form. So obviously I'm not going to produce like masterpiece quality stuff without practice. It's the same reason when I switched from clarinet to saxophone, I was just so annoyed about it because I was like, yeah, but I'm good at clarinet because I'd spent years getting good at clarinet, and now all of a sudden, oh, you know, let's just throw you in on something that you're not good at. And I was like, but I don't like not being good. Alright, we have our alley cat stencil. Let's do Dan the Dad next, because again, he has lots of white space. This is another one that I free-handed, so I don't actually have a stencil for. Yeah, so the way I made Allie's was I looked at a bunch of different pictures of her and her face paint, and originally I tried to do her mouth and then her eye as well, but it just, I couldn't find the right balance between stylized and not, because she does this face paint and then she does the cat eye, but I was like, I think this mouth part is the more recognizable part, and then I can have her name in the white space rather than trying to fit eyes in everywhere, and it, blah. So I guess I can draw a little bit because I drew this, but this is pretty basic of just me like looking at multiple different reference photos for her and doing a composite. This one I came up completely from scratch and was like, I think I can handle drawing a cylinder, and I think you'll agree that I handled drawing a cylinder. I don't know if I love what I did with the shading of the coffee cup, but we're gonna go with it for now. Yeah, don't love it, don't hate it. We'll trace it for now, and then if I have a stroke of inspiration about something that would look better, I will consider it. So again, we're gonna tape this down. The thing that I think is the most annoying part about wood burning, but is also probably good for me as somebody who's a big perfectionist, is that you can't go back like at all, and you don't necessarily have control over every aspect. So like when you're coloring sometimes and you're like handshakes or whatever, you color outside the line, it's like, oh, if I'd just been more careful, even though like you probably couldn't have controlled that. But with wood burning, it's like that. Like that's how long it takes for the wood to go from, in some cases, and it's just depending on how long you've had the iron on, and sometimes you can turn the iron on and it heats up right away. So you go to do a line that you think is just like a slow warm-up line, and then it's not. It's like dark right off the bat. Okay. That seems... Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna try doing this corner to corner this time. Corner, corner. 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 I almost wonder if it would be better to do... I think this lead is a little too hard, but I don't want to go to a full 2, so we're just going to try with a sharpened regular 2H. That seems to have decided it doesn't want to sharpen. That's very helpful. I promise, watchers, I don't have COVID. I'm sniffling because I have postnasal drip because I cried so much yesterday, which is a whole other story that I don't really want to get into right now. I might say something at the beginning of the next book at bedtime, but we'll see. So for now. Also, like, it's COVID-19. Do people really need excuses to be crying anymore? Like, I don't think we do. I think we're allowed to just cry whenever we want. Also, for anybody looking at the title going like, clickbait, they're not setting things on fire. We're getting there. I promise, okay? Once I start burning stuff, I kind of don't want to stop. So I kind of want to have everything ready to go so that I can do a bunch of these when I actually get the iron up to speed. And I do really want to test out my new supplies because having new fun things to play with is fun. Okay, so for this one, I don't actually like how the lettering turned out on the original. So we're gonna go aspirational and try and correct this for this one. And I think have an idea of how I want to fix this one. Okay. The 3 coffee things coming off the coffee, those are important. All right, I think that's inkable. Yeah, the stencil wants to come off the paper. There we go. There we go. Yeah, this is better than using parchment paper. My parchment paper is a little bit too yellowy, I guess, would be what I'm going for. I don't know, there's just something about I was using parchment paper the other night when I was getting War Horses stencil finished. Now, these I'm just doing as a fan project because I like these wrestlers and they seem really sad right now because they don't get to wrestle. So I thought it would be nice and fun to make them each a coaster set and send it off to them. And obviously they can do whatever they want with it, if they want to use it or if they want to auction it off to a fan or something. Like, they can do whatever they want. And I'll say as much in the package when I send it. But if you, watching at home, want to commission me, DM me on Twitter. I'm at storyranger. Or drop me a whisper here on Twitch. We can possibly work something out. I am fairly choosy about commissions I accept right now, just because I haven't had as much practice as I'd like at some things. But I am open to commissioning, especially if you have a cool idea. I think I could bring some life to. Okay, that's a stencil. All right. Danhausen. This one is going to be tricky because he has a lot of lines. So let's get into it. A lot of people, when they're like talking about sort of tracing out references online, and if you want to get into a debate with me about tracing and whether or not people who trace are the scum of the earth, you can please be referred to the Medici level of my Patreon. If you would like to argue about things with me, you can pay me $150 a month. Sorry, not 150. 1,500 is my debating with annoying people tier, and I will happily debate. If you wanna pay my rent for me, I will happily debate to you the merit of tracing versus complete original creativity. But for the purposes of what I'm doing, I don't need a perfect reference that I came up with off of the top of my head. What I need is a photograph that I can then turn into an image. And obviously, for things that I'm going to sell, if I'm going to sell something, I'm going to do my absolute darndest to make sure that I either took that photo with permission or purchased it legally. Through a stock photo website. But because I don't sell any of this right now, what I'm making here, I like to be good at drawing, yes, I would love that. And I am trying slowly to let myself draw really poor child's drawings so that I can get practice and actually start getting better at drawing. But one can only take so much humiliation per day. Okay, so this is Danhausen. I liked the pencil we used last time. I don't know where I put the pencil. There we go. Okay. We'll start with the easy, which is outlining the black that's surrounding the face. And by easy, I mean the easiest part to draw, not the easiest part to do. That part actually kind of sucks when you're actually doing it. With the iron, just because it smokes up so much. So tonight, because I'm trying to do so many of them at once, I'm probably actually going to open a window. That should help alleviate some of the smoke inhalation I've been causing for myself. So yeah, if you're doing this at home, please try not to do it in a non-ventilated room. That's not good for you. Corner is a piece to get done. And this one should also mark where the edge of the stencil is. While I scribble into thin air. Okay. Don't touch your face, Townsend. Don't touch your face. Sometimes I feel like my mom's been preparing her entire life for COVID-19 because I've spent my entire life having my mom tell me, don't touch your face, don't touch your face, don't touch your nose, don't touch your nose. Why are your fingers in your mouth? If I ever became a professional wrestler and wore face paint, my face paint rule would be that it has to be something that some poor dumb artist at home can actually recreate easily. And I think if pupil is supposed to be here. Nope, that makes him look absolutely cross-eyed. Oh, you know what? I think it was supposed to be there. Now he also looks cross-eyed. Okay. We're just gonna... Yeah, that looks okay. Okay. I don't know why it's doing that. Nose, 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 shadow under nose, shadow under nose. Right, mouth. This is the hardest bit to both to draw and to. I should probably reprint my reference picture on this one just to make sure that I'm actually. Here, I'll pull it up. Pictures, documents, downloads. No. Getting a glimpse into how much my computer needs to be cleaned up right now. Art. Design. Projects. Woodburning. Okay, there he is. Okay, so yeah, that is accurate because, yeah. Yeah. This is actually accurate to what was going on in this picture. The only thing that I probably want to change up is this bit is not actually supposed to connect. This bit is supposed to go like that. But there was some spillover. Okay. Yeah. Curly Q, and then his teeth are just kind of a hope for the best kind of situation. Like he's got, I'm gonna do two like that, and hopefully it works out. We'll see. Tiny little details are murder sometimes. Now, Warhorse stencil. I present to you the stencil I already made. That's the one we're going to use. On this one is Danhausen, and he is from Montreal. And this one is Warhorse, and he likes heavy metal. I'm gonna need more Coke in a minute. Okay. So Warhorse, we already have from yesterday. We don't need to do him again. So we're gonna ink Danhausen. Yes, Montreal represent. And then no, all of this is black. Just there we go. Mark it up, black, 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 black. La da da. I'm not going to do that on the inside ones though, because it's not really a point to it. Ah. No. There we go. No. Bad. Dunhausen's whole shtick is that he does not like swearing. So my mother would get along with him very well. He's also a demon from hell, so my mother might have some problems. He's a demon from hell who doesn't like swearing, so you know. Can people hear me all right? I hope they can. I have my headphones on. I don't know why, because I'm not actually watching anything right now. I was planning on putting some TV on. I'm kind of just okay babbling to the camera right now, surprisingly. Okay. Maybe everything else in fine lines, just to, really? Alright, well, we'll clean that up in a minute. So. The thing about tracing paper is you have to wait a little bit for the alcohol to dry. If you're using an alcohol-based markers such as a Sharpie, just be wary of that. In some ways it's great because you can fix your mistakes really quick when they happen, and in other ways it's terrible because you can forget and then get marker all over your hand, which I am not happy about. And I will have to fix before I start wood burning because 10 to 1 it starts getting all over my wood. We don't want that. Teeth that we hope are teeth-like. But again, those things that are that small, you just kind of have to go in with the iron and hope and pray. Or let me rephrase that, I have to just kind of go in with the iron and hope and pray. Obviously somebody who is a professional at this can get perfect results. Oh no, these bits are black. You get the picture. La da 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 da, those are black. That's all we need for the stencil. Okay, so I am now gonna get a paper towel so I can wipe up this rubbing alcohol and wash my hand. I'll be right back. Oh, while I'm up, I'll get another cola. Here we go. You hear me? Good. Good. That's good. That is a good sign that people hear me. Just gonna put my headphones away for now because I'm not really using them. I put the Coke in a mug so I look like an adult when I'm actually drinking cola like a child. Okay, so next step. We're gonna pick 3 coasters each because we already have one of each of these ready to go. We are going to inspect these coasters to make sure that they aren't hollow, which I didn't think was going to be a problem. It's not something that any of the reviews online warned me about with these particular coasters, but I guess, you know, things happen. So, we have, where did Warhorse go? Okay, Warhorse decided, there you are, Warhorse. Okay, so we have our 4 people up here. And we have our stencil. And now things are probably gonna get messy. So, I'm gonna pull out 3 of these for now. So I only need to do 3 at a time, so I put them up to the light and I make sure. Basically, you can kind of tell because you see this like blue section, and it's actually blue because the light is coming through there. Like, I think that is one of them. I'm gonna check. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one has a... Now, if you're doing one that doesn't actually involve that much, and the hole that you're seeing is in a place that you're not going to touch with the iron, you can probably get away with it. But like, the last thing you kind of want to have happen is busting a hole through your coaster as you're doing it, even though you thought it was fine. So, okay. I have these many and a backup. So, we'll start with Allie's again because hers is kind of the simplest. There we go. So, tape the coaster down. To my working piece. I'm starting to get like I'm getting flustered because I have never worked with this particular product, and I've heard it can get messy. Some of y'all know me and my thoughts on mess. I'm not mess's biggest fan. I think that would be a fair assessment. But Mrs. Frizzle says we have to make mistakes and get messy and get out there and, you know. Okay. So I think this one is probably the right size for what we're doing. Okay. Ugh. Okay, this is gonna be messy. Ah. Ah. I'm gonna put a piece of paper down just while I'm opening it because I don't want it to get on everything. That would just be... I would not like that. Okay. I'm going to take one sheet. That is more than one sheet. That is one sheet. Is it? Nope. Okay. That is one sheet. So these can go back in their package. I was always that kid who never wanted to read the newspaper, not because I didn't actually like the news, but because I just didn't want the newsprint on my fingers. I think it's because I don't like in-betweens. That's really why I'm struggling right now so much with what my family's doing. Like, I'm okay with, like, if I'm swimming, I'm okay with being completely dry. And I'm okay with being completely wet in the water. But I can't deal with being, like, damp at the end of the swim. Wow, I'm waiting to dry. It's the same with showering, honestly. And so because of that, there are definitely times when I'll be like, I really want to go swimming, but I'm not going to do it because I don't want to have that yucky in-between stage where I'm damp. Okay. You're going to go way over there. So, in theory, think this through in terms of okay, well, we're gonna go for it. Eek. And if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, I'll figure something else out. I think it's going to be fine though. Yeah, I think think that's the right spot. Now I take my little tool. Yeah, the worst hour of the day is when your hair is damp. Like, that's also why I had short hair for so long. It's because with long hair, I have to wait for it to dry. I think what we're getting from this is I'm just not a very patient person, which, I mean, we already knew that, so. Okay. It's so hard doing this completely blind. I just have to think good thoughts and think that good things are happening under this. Did I already do the lips? I don't remember. Oh. I really need to like pick a point. Let's start with that point and then just, okay, so I'm gonna do kind of the middle of the letters. This is very thin. Because what I've heard from people is that this doesn't come up once it's transferred. But because I'm putting this on wood, I don't think that's gonna matter because oh my god, it actually worked! I'm actually so happy about this. I was so worried it wasn't gonna work. But it did. It worked. Thank the good Lord. It's only transferred in some places where I didn't necessarily want it to transfer, but okay. Let's see if you actually can just... Yeah, no. But you know what I think probably will take it off? Either a little Q-tip of water. Nope. Okay then. What about a Q-tip of... Yeah, rubbing alcohol. That kind of gets there. And then when I sand it down, it's going to be fine, I think. What weight of sandpaper is this? 120 grit. Yeah, this will be fine. I'm just gonna sand off this one little corner here that didn't quite go the way we wanted. And we're gonna keep going. There we go. All right. First one done. So, put the next alley cat on in here. And I think if I play my cards right, I just have to keep rotating this guy. So we're just gonna put a protect the table a little bit. I'm gonna wash the table anyway. I really need to repaint this table because it's getting ridiculously filthy. But okay. So I should be able to just like put it here. And I don't think we'll hit the same spots as we did on the last one. time we're going to start from the top and work our way down. A little bit. It's fine. Occasional happy little accident. I do these already. I don't care. I'm going to do them again. They're important. I know we did the nose already because now that's twice that I've kind of messed that up a little bit. That's okay. I'm actually really proud of how Allie's turned out just because I did actually draw that one freehand. And of course we're looking for similar enough that they look like they belong together. I'm not going for identical because that's not realistic in the medium of wood burning. You are never going to get two exactly identical pieces when you're wood burning. Okay, that's, yep. That's another alley cat one. And last one, let's go. Yeah, we go here and put another one up here. Alright, I will rotate her down now. So we're going here, here. My corners are here. Yes, there we go. Okay. All right. So again, just like before, we're gonna go like that, and like this, and like this. A lot of the little things that you might think you might get wrong, you probably can just fix in, I was supposed to say fix it in post, but no, this isn't a video. Well, what you're watching right now is a video, but what I mean to say is that wood burning is not a video. You don't fix things in post-production, but you fix it after by either sanding down the bit that you really didn't like. Obviously you have to be using a thicker wood for that because at a certain point you can't sand away anything more. Or you can just kind of accept it as a happy accident, or if it's really a huge problem, you can usually start over. Unless you're using like $500 piece of wood or something crazy like that. Alright, let's see how this one looks. Hey! Alright. So we have 3 Alley Cat stencils. Well, we have 3 Alley Cat coasters that have been stenciled and are ready to be burned. Let's get the rest going. This is where I would put in a time-lapse montage if we had that kind of technology, but we are not that kind of operation. I apologize. Sorry not. Honestly, sorry not sorry, because do you know how hard it is to get a webcam these days? No. We can't get a webcam. We're doing Dan the Dad next. And as usual, I'm starting to get a little bit messy. There's Dan the Dad. Okay. Like I did on the other one, I am gonna sort of find the center. Pencil that in. Yeah. Throwing this out to the people in the chat, and if you're watching on playback, you can answer me on Twitter. What has your favorite activity that you have started doing in quarantine been? Mine, I think, has been wood burning. I've done a little bit of crocheting, not too much. Last night I basically was like, my friend called me and was like, okay, what thing can you do right now that you know will relax you? And I was like, well, it's always anything that I can hyperfixate on. For those of you who don't know what hyperfixating is, it's something that some of us who aren't neurotypical, technically, so like neurodivergent, although I'm not sure I would use the word neurodivergent necessarily to describe myself personally, but hyperfixating is something that happens when you get so into something that you just, like, you lose all track of time, you lose all track of what's going on outside. So for me, that was always reading. Now though, I'm finding it really hard to read because it's only engaging my eyes, it's not engaging my hands. So I find now if I need to hyperfixate, I try to do something with my hands that I can then also like put a TV show on and watch too. So yesterday I was like, I'm gonna crochet, and then before I could even start crocheting, I realized that I didn't have the yarn that I needed balled properly. The only activity I tried to start was crochet, but got distracted by life. Hope to get back to it soon. Honestly, I find crochet really, really soothing. It's nice, it's repetitive. I can usually like watch TV or something or do something else while I'm doing it, which I can't do with knitting. It's really meditative. Like any handicraft I find is super meditative. I find crocheting a lot easier than knitting. I've heard people go the other way. I think it's because I'm impatient and crochet projects get finished a lot faster. Just because the the actual process chews through the yarn so much faster. But even just like balling yarn is super meditative. Did I learn with YouTube videos? Yes. So I had a like workbook that somebody gave me as a kid that had like basic stitches, but I couldn't figure out from the pictograms exactly how it was supposed to be done. So what I'd do is I'd look at the pictograms for a bit and kind of get the idea, and then I'd hold my yarn and open a video and watch that specific step a couple times over and over. I think that's just the easiest way to learn. I can try and remember which ones I used, because some of the things that they think are like super basic and just take for granted, I was like, what? Like, what does this mean? Like, how do I do this exactly? Right? Because they're just like, yarn over. And I'm like, okay, but when I yarn over, does that mean like I loop it this way, or do I loop it in this direction? And then what do I do after that? And the chain one I found so hard for the longest time, and I don't know why, but I figured it out in the end. But yeah, YouTube videos are pretty good. Try to look for one if you're if you're looking for YouTube videos, I'd say look for ones that are about the stitches rather than like someone being like, I'm gonna make this project and teach you how to make it, because so many of them you end up, they'll be like, oh, and now for this stitch, go see this playlist that I've made of like all these different stitches. So just start with the playlist of different stitches, right? What is yarn over? Exactly. Yeah, yarn over, as far as I remember, it literally just means turn your project over. So like, are you holding your project like this? Cool. Now hold it like this. But it's like, they didn't explain how to do that. And I was like, what? So, yeah. Knitting pattern makers, be more accessible. Oh, and then you get into, like, the discourse of people who are like, ooh, half double crochet is a fake stitch and you shouldn't, And I'm like, honestly, half double crochet is my favorite stitch because a regular crochet stitch feels a little too small and a double crochet just feels weird. Half double crochet is my favorite thing in the world and everybody else is wrong. So that's partly why I like this octopus pattern that I use and that I've been making, because it has a lot of half double crochet stitches in it. And also this baby blanket that I've been making forever. I feel like I've been working on this baby blanket since the beginning of time, but it's not. It's just like since... I don't remember. I don't actually remember when I started working on it, but you know, like, I have not actually been working on it for that long, relatively speaking. Well, that turned out a little wobbly, but it'll be fine when we actually get it. There we go. Much better. One day on the dad. I think just the graphite paper is a little too loose right now. So yeah, this is making my life so much harder. So before I ordered graphite paper, I was using and you know, if you go online and you're like, I want to buy graphite paper, you're going to find at least 2 or 3 different tutorials pop up being like, just make your own graphite paper. Okay, cool. But you know, I maybe don't have the time and the patience to just sit there with a 3B pencil and color on the back of a sheet of paper. And then use that over and over. So basically what I was having to do was to, every time I made my stencil on paper, I'd turn it over, color the back of it as dark as I could with a 3B pencil, and then use that to transfer. And honestly with this, I think this is poplar wood. With this stuff, I kind of just gave up doing that and started instead just pressing really hard on my paper stencil so that I'd make a mark in here. But obviously, that's also not the best thing to do because you're not in control completely. And you end up, in some cases, making errors that you can't fix by just sanding them away. Corner, yep. Why do I have the Clark Hall pub dance song stuck in my head now? Shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip, ass, ass, turn and clap. Denhausen is actually very handsome, but you would not know from my stencil right now. All of these people are very handsome. Alley Cat included. Girls can be handsome. Although if she doesn't like the word handsome, I will call her pretty if that's what she desires. I don't know. Somebody who's in etymology. Anyway, somebody who's into the study of words and how words change. Or maybe that's linguistics. Anyway, somebody tell me when we decided that handsome was no longer gender neutral and was now boys only. Oh. I will be back. There we go. We have power again. Why am I disconnected from the chat? That's silly. Alright, well. Anyway, what was I saying? Right, okay. That I dislike that we've decided that handsome is no longer gender neutral. Because I like handsome better than pretty. And also at some point we decided that gorgeous was for women only. Which is equally dumb. So whoever decided that, drop me an air job. Drop me a location. I just want to chat. Promise I'm not going to yell at you at all. No. Why would I do that? That would be weird. Yell at you because you made a really stupid decision that I don't like? Nah. This one went better than the last one. This doesn't help that I shake. Because I'm a shaky ass arthritic mofo. And if you're going, you're too old to have arthritis. Not sure if you still hate Taylor Swift. I stopped hating Taylor Swift like a decade ago. I literally only hated Taylor Swift when she was, like, at the time that her and Avril were in constant competition. And it was literally just because we as a society had decided that we can only have one successful woman at a time. And once we reached the era of, like, more than one woman can be successful, I was like, cool, alright, I'm gonna stop my internalized misogyny and stop hating on Taylor Swift. I will say that some of her earlier songs, I'm like, that's very problematic. But again, I think that was her internalized misogyny, and she worked through that, and now I tend to not find her problematic anymore. So yeah, my views on Taylor Swift have changed. Honestly, my views on many pop culture things have changed. I was definitely more like the edgier, like, didn't want to like things because they were cool kind of kids. And all of that was because I wasn't cool. So it was my way of being relevant, I guess. I don't know. I see why. Yeah, I need 3 of everything. It still means I need 12 coasters, not 9. Anyway. I grabbed the wrong number of coasters. Whoop-de-doo, I'll fix that in a minute. Okay. Ugh. Yeah, guys can be gorgeous. Like, they just can. Like, boys are pretty. Heterosexuality can be a prison, but also boys are pretty. So. And also, you don't have to be into boys to recognize that they're pretty. I know lots of queer girls who are not into men who are like, yeah, that boy is cute. That doesn't mean that they're into them, it just means they're not blind. We've got a little bit of a rip. We're gonna fix that up real quick. That kind of run. My office is a mess right now. I really did want to clean it up before stream, but instead I just cleaned up the little piece of it that I was using. One of these days I will put an office and crafting bunker tour up on youtube.com/storyranger. Currently, the only sort of fun video up there right now is a Lush haul and unboxing, which the first and only comment on was, cutting into Lush bath bombs is neither frowned upon nor revolutionary. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm just trying to have a little fun. Thanks for your helpful input. It's not at all helpful. No, stop. I've watched so much Super Nanny this week. Honestly, I probably just need to rewatch Nanny McPhee. That's probably what this is. It's just me being like, I want to rewatch Nanny McPhee, and then I haven't done that. Instead, I've just watched Super Nanny episodes. And what I've learned from them is the human race was a bad idea. And we should stop. Oh, you enjoyed my bath bomb video? Thank you very much. I had a lot of fun making that. I also had a heart attack because the actual footage of me chopping into them up close saved vertical format instead of horizontal, so it showed up as a picture instead of a video. So for about 15 minutes, I thought that most critical part of video footage was deleted, or hadn't saved it all in the first place. It hadn't, it was fine, and luckily my video editing software is very good at switching things from vertical to horizontal. But that was a heart-stopping moment, I will say, because there's no way I'm ordering anything from Lush for a little while at least. No, we really don't need negativity on the internet right now. That's like, it used to be Tumblr that had all like the toxicity, and then Twitter was kind of like brands and then people's diaries. And now I saw a really good comment the other day from somebody being like, the problem with Twitter is that half of the people are on here using it as like a personal blog or diary, and half the people on here are like either on here to be like sarcastic little pieces, or they're on here for like very serious big reasons, and the streams keep crossing. So like somebody will be like whining about something that happened in their own personal life, and then somebody else will be like, but like Africa is starving and Australia is on fire, and the person's like, yeah, I know that, I just came on here to vent about the fact that, you know, my dog got, like, it's just so many people who are not seeing each other as complex human beings. So that's why I kind of stay off Twitter right now. Although I'm pretty lucky because I keep the number of people I'm following to just 100, which is really hard. Because there's a lot of people I want to follow on Twitter. So picking just 100 is not an easy task, but it makes things a lot easier. Especially now that Twitter has all these features where it's like, here, you can see this thing that this person that you follow likes. And I'm like, hey, like, I want to follow them. I don't want to follow everything they like on the internet. Okay. We're an hour and 30 minutes in. I promise. We are about to get to setting things on fire. Because I'm bored of doing stencils. So we're gonna do these 6. So, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the window. Because I don't want to set off a smoke detector, and also I don't want to die of smoke inhalation. We're gonna put down a handy dandy cutting board. Window open. We're going to plug in our iron. We're going to make sure that we are using the tip that we actually want to start with, which these guys use this tip, so good on me. We're going to try and clear away any detritus that could become unsafe. We are all about safety here on Storyranger Presents. And being as safe as possible as you can within your space limitations. And that's not saying if you don't have the space to do something that's going to be dangerous, oh, you can just do it because you don't have the space for it. That is saying be responsible, and if you have to relax a couple of things, that's fine, but, you know, be sensible, be safe about things. Alright, what you will need for this step of the process is your iron, you are going to need different iron tips, because different iron tips do different jobs. So for today I have my dotting tool and my bigger tip. You need pliers because when you're changing tips and the iron is hot, you can't touch the tips. You need water. Oh, shoot. and rubbing alcohol, which I've just managed to spill everywhere. But that's why we have paper towels. So here is the thing about rubbing alcohol, which I have in my nice Paris shot glass that my friend Kim gave to me. Ideally, when you are working with something like a wood burning iron, you're going to want to have strop, I think is what it's called. You're gonna want to have a strop, which is a like thick leather thing that you can scrape off the residue on as you go. I don't have that, and currently I can't get one. So what I do is I keep a piece of sandpaper. When things get really, really backed up, I use the sandpaper. When I just need a little bit off, I take a very wet piece of paper towel and I use that. And I also will sometimes use a Q-tip with rubbing alcohol. The problem with the sandpaper and the rubbing alcohol is eventually they will start to corrode the tip. Now, this is a very cheap wood iron. Treat all your tools great. You don't need expensive tools, great. In general, treat all your tools with respect. Be kind to them. They will be kind to you. And you don't need expensive tools to be able to do great art. That being said, in a pandemic, I am a little less concerned about the tips of a fairly cheap generic iron, because eventually I do know I will be able to get a new tip if I absolutely have to. And for me, the ability to clean off the tips and control the heat and how it's burning and things like that is way more important than, I'm gonna need another piece of sandpaper here, than keeping my tips forever. Also, like, I don't think they actually can last forever, but just like, you know, keeping them for a super long time. So, how's this guy doing? He is not heating up at all. Is that what's going on? Let's... Okay. Not heating up at all. So, that's the sitch. You're plugged in. You're plugged in. Oh, you're not plugged in. That's what the problem is. Okay. So let's fix that. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Okay, before I start burning, I'm going to take a quick sec and put out another, hey, come hang out. We've actually reached the burning part of the wood burning. So let me just do that. Share, Facebook. We've reached the burning part of wood burning. Come hang out. Okay. So the iron should be heating up right now. Hello. How are you? Not bad. How are you?
Good. Just came by to say hi.
Cool.
Still streaming?
Yeah, you can. It's an art stream. Don't you mind?
Cool.
I will come say hi to you though.
Yeah.
Hi. Moment of truth. I tell myself I'll go to bed by 10:15. Worried you missed the burn. Yep. Nope. We are here. I can smell that we are here. Okay. I wish that my tips would stay put when I ask them to. Okay. There we go. It's a little bit longer. I use a terracotta pot inside a ceramic pot, so the actual ceramic pot there is glazed and the glaze melts. So I don't actually use that when I'm doing this. It's just there because it looks nicer than the terracotta pot, and also it's taller and provides more support for the handle. So let's do Dan Dad first. Move Miss Alley Cat off to the side. Okay. Yep, we are getting hot enough. We are pretty much there. So I've got my sandpaper. I've got my rubbing alcohol. Gonna get a swab in there, soaking, ready to go. Here we go. I watch a lot of Ink Master too lately. So that's just the kind of life it's been now. And I always talk about, like, if you can't pull a clean line, well, get out of here. I have arthritis, my hands shake. So I try to pull as clean lines as possible, but there's always going to be some variance. I think the tagline for this art stream should be Storyranger's art stream. Just be nice. Be better, people. Be kinder to each other and to yourselves, honestly. I've had to, there's an AEW wrestler that I really like, and I honestly, every time I see a post on her on Instagram, my instinct is to go to the comments, because I know the comments are going to be filled with transphobic filth, and I've had to realize that reading the comments is basically a form of digital self-harming, and I've had to stop, which was really hard. Which seems so silly, because it's like, okay, like, you read the comments, they make you sad, like, just stop reading them. But for some reason, like, I just want to keep, and I think it's because, like, I have this, like, oh, but maybe this time I'll read the comments and they won't be trash. But, like, they're trash every time. There we go. Yeah, the reason you want to clean your tip a lot is because if you have a bunch of gunk built up on the tip, it affects how quickly the iron burns, and then you have less control overall of what you're doing. So there we go. I'm using a smaller tip than I usually do. I don't mind it. I think I like using this tip. I think that was a good idea. Never read the comments. Fun. Yeah, the average IQ of Instagram commenters is 2.3. Yeah, basically. Like, and it's so annoying. struggling with this letter D. Let's see if this one goes better. Hopefully it will. We're getting build up. I'll just, there we go. Scrape some of that off. Here we go. Regain momentum. Yeah, this tip is weird compared to the one I usually use. We're gonna get some paper towel too that I can splotch onto. All right, there we go. I hate pulling curves. Alright, let's rephrase that. I don't hate pulling curves. I wish I could improve very rapidly at pulling curves because I'm not that great at it. And it's hard, and I want to be better at it. Positivity. That's what we're striving for here on this here YouTube channel right now. Sorry, Twitch channel. Mixing up my platforms. Like, why was that so much easier? I will never know. Now, just because it's not a book at bedtime, readers and listeners, does not mean that you're going to get away with me not giving you your nightly reminder to stay hydrated. When was the last time you drank some water? If your answer is I can't remember, now was a good time to go do that. Don't worry, I'll still be here. I'll still be burning. We got 6 of these to do. Well, 6. To do tonight. Okay. thing I've learned from Ink Masters. Everybody wants you to do one pass, one pass. Guess what? Doing one pass is hard. And it's kind of more important in wood burning because, well, no, obviously tattoos go on people's skin, so perfection is most important there. But with wood burning, if you don't do it in one pass, sometimes there's absolutely no saving it. Whereas usually in tattooing, you can at least do a second pass. Even if it does end up hurting a bit more. All right. You know what? It could be better, and it could be a heck of a lot worse. I think there's just something on this particular piece of the wood that's making it. They're supposed to be non-treated, but I think possibly a little piece of treatment. A little something that I got hit on this guy. So there we go. One down. Next one. We're gonna do the dotting last because it's gonna be easier that way. Actually, you know what? I kind of want to have them all finished. Like actually finished as they go. So I'm gonna get the dotting tool specific pliers. Yes, the dotting tool gets its own pliers. I think my lovely cousin has gone to bed, but that's fine. I'm still out here. Okay, so the plan for these dots is essentially you gotta go in hard and you gotta go in fast. I'm choosing to think of them as like the dots on a cappuccino. Like if you put sugar on a cappuccino, maybe I'll just dot everything now while I'm here with the dotting tool. There's not like a super rhyme or reason to how I do these. I just kind of, I mean, they're just for shading, right? So I'm just kind of trying to go in lines down from those initial top ones that I made. See, here's where you can really see. I'll try and bring you a little closer. But this is where you actually see the burning most, because we're going from there was nothing to now there is the shading there. So obviously with the other one, sometimes it can just look as if I'm like drawing over the line. It doesn't always look like I'm actually burning anything. Here, we'll do this and then fill in from there. There we go. Better. Like it. I like it. One of these days I'm going to do a stream that's like, let's set things on fire, and everybody's like, oh haha, that's the code for Story Ranger's pyrography streams. Except no, I'm actually going to go outside and just set random things on fire, because that's the type of person I am, and that's what I find entertaining. And obviously I would do it in a safe, controlled manner. But like, one of these days, that may end up being. Yeah, if you're playing the Book of Bed drinking game, a drink every time Story Ranger takes a drink. Take a drink of water or another hydrating beverage. Also, did you know, for my lovely neurodivergent and depressed followers, that if you're on a lot of antidepressant medications, like not if you're on a bunch at once, you yourself, but many antidepressant medications have a dehydrating effect and can also make you more sensitive to the sun. So as we finally get into some lovely spring and summer-ish weather, please take care of yourself and make sure you're hydrating and using sunscreen, because it's important. And I was always someone who was very sensitive to the heat, and now that I am on antidepressants, I am even more sensitive to the heat. But I think in some ways I was lucky, because I was always like the person who was trying to stay indoors and trying to stay cool. I'm also allergic to a lot of things outside. Like, basically anything green actively wants my head on a platter. So, that's also helpful. As much as I love the idea and the romance of being outside. Yeah, I would. Okay. All right. That's coffee number 1 shaded. Coffee number 2. This dotting tool goes a lot faster, and I think that's just because it's so little surface area to heat, so it heats really fast. Look at me just guessing about science, hoping something I say. You know what though? I think if I do the dots before the swirls, then the swirls aren't gonna be right. So I think I gotta change the tips again and go back and do the the other things, which is fine. Honestly, like, changing tips is kind of frustrating, but there are worse hassles in the world than having to change my tip every once in a while. I'm gonna go back to using the bigger tip and see which one I actually like better. Kind of both the big and the small one have merits. I'm not sure if I can really pick a favorite. Perfect. Come join. Come join us. All right. While we're waiting for that to heat up, let's just... Obviously, I go back at the end and, like, usually sand these and then run them under water as well, just to kind of clean up, because sometimes they're a little bit too... Sometimes some of the dark patches are not actually wood-burned patches, they are just leftover residue that stayed on the coaster instead of the like they belong. Okay. You love you so much. To also exhaust and will be sleeping very shortly. TTYL. Alright. And we're back. Okay. I think this should be hot enough. Oh, yep, it is. Yep-a-rooney. Let's try. Yeah, a little bit of water clean off. There we go. The big tip seems to respond better to getting cleaned. I don't know why that is. It's weird. Yeah, it's easier to pull straight lines with this tip. One of these days I gotta get me on the forums or something and learn a little bit more about, you know, what each tip is for and different techniques, and gotta do my training boards. So all these little exercises. It's like I remember when Karen Cabot was talking about her graphic design degree, there was a day like when they were starting out where the teacher would just hand them the alphabet and they had to exacto out each letter perfectly, and they couldn't move on to the next unit until they'd done it. And I was like, seriously, I would have wanted to die probably by the end of that, because I'm okay with an X-Acto knife, but like I am far from perfect. I have a tendency to get easily frustrated, one could say. tell us all about them, Child of Fantasy. You have updates. Updates are great. I love updates. Especially on super awesome things. Like my super awesome best friend possibly being paid money to be super awesome. I would love that. That would be super awesome. Also, that reminds me, I have to submit my contract to the library. Because they send all of us emails being like, hey, so, we don't actually need you until 2021 now. Do you want to just quit? Or do you want to stay? And I was like, what is quitting gonna do for me? Like, I think my actual quote was like, what idiot in their right mind would quit at this point? Because, I mean, their whole thing was like, we understand if, like, you need to, like, look for a different job. And I'm like, okay, but if I need to look for a different job, wouldn't I just, like, wait until I found the different job before I resign from this one? And also, just because I look for a different job does not mean that's a job I'm going to want to keep by the time... Ooh! Okay, that's good. That's good. One step down is, honestly, in this economy, like, it's good. And one has to think that part of it is probably because they're all trying to make do with less right now. That's really good news, Child of Fantasy. I am very happy to hear that. Yay. Yeah. This is a better tip than the other one. Said and all is done, time will have every. Said and all is done, time will have every. Ooh. Okay. So it wasn't even like a full-on rejection. It was just like, okay, like there's another step, and that's security clearance, which, yeah, that makes sense. In this particular scenario, nothing will be happening to the fall. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty much how it is everywhere. Is nothing's happening until the world gets its act together. Which hopefully it does. Because I, for one, would like to be able to go outside at some point. Ooh! Okay, that's good. Like, those are good words for them to be using. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Good news. Good news. And we need good news right now. The world in general and me in specific. 'Cause, yeah. Things are a bit crap right now, I have to say. And right now, kind of the only thing that brings me any joy is Netflix, and I am rapidly reaching the end of my queue. So, not great. Not great. Well, it's not quite how I wanted that to go, but we're here now. Moving on. Yep. Flush you out a little bit more. At some point I'm going to stop streaming, but I'm going to probably finish up the Danhausen and the Warhorse ones off stream, unless... Drop me a line on Twitter if you're really interested in seeing me do those ones. Oh, shit, I am... Sorry. One, sorry for swearing. I do try not to swear on this stream. And two, sorry my lovely, beautiful computer. Or phone. Being in driving range of it. Ah! You do not understand how much I want that to happen. Childhood fantasy. You do not understand. Or maybe you do. Honestly, maybe you do. But, yeah, I'm dying. I need my best friend to be within driving range of me. So when weeks like this happen where I feel like I'm drowning, I can be like, Shannon, help me. Childhood fantasy, come save me. All right. Here we go. Another one. And another one. Is he still popular? Who is that? Is that Drake? No, it's not. It's DJ Khaled. Is the and another one guy the same one who was like, there are different jobs for kings. Kings don't do something, and then Dwayne The Rock Johnson was basically like, if you don't satisfy your wife in bed, you're a loser. And you're not a real king. Were those the same people? I don't know. Am I losing my mind? Maybe. Maybe. Probably not. My therapist says I'm not losing my mind. And I trust her. Well, trusted her. I haven't seen her in 6 months. We're coming up on... We're almost on a year of me living here officially. Then it'll be another 2 months until me living here actually, because we signed a lease and then my spouse moved up before I moved up. Because I was still under contract in Kingston for a bit. So I finished out my contract and then came up here. My lovely friend Alex let me stay in his house. That was nice. And it was also right on top of a Pokestop. And I had just gotten into Pokemon Go. So it was great because I got to spin the stop every day. That's also kind of how I killed my phone. Well, that and I did a StuCon shift and dropped my phone on the shift. But part of it was I kind of killed it. That phone by playing Pokemon Go on it. The poor baby could not handle. Might be DJ Khaled. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's that one where he's like, and another one. Sorry, and another one. Thank you for being my Google. That's where it would be nice to be more than a one-person team, so that, you know, I could be on stream and then somebody behind the scenes could be, oh, I don't know, monitoring the chat, so I didn't have to have crazy rules on who's allowed to comment at what time. Although this is kind of working out the whole, you have to be a follower, but you're allowed to chat right away. So if you guys all behave, we might be able to keep this like this and not have the 10-minute timeout until people are allowed to comment. Because I do really like chatting with all of you. It's nice. And it makes me feel like I'm actually engaging in a type of theater rather than just sitting alone in my apartment talking to a camera. Because that's what this is really all about. This is really about me continuing to keep my content creation skills alive while I wait for the theaters to reopen. Because we don't know when that's going to be yet. Yeah, honestly, like, I had a couple of hate messages and I was fine with that, and then the night where it was like 6 people all at once and it was all like super sexual, and then it was a night when I was doing like hardcore children's book. Like, a lot of my streams, I keep them family friendly, like I don't swear, and I try to sort of do like PG-13 books, but it's not all like children's storybooks. Like, even I was doing Within the Willows, which is like a children's story, but it's a children's story in that at that period of time in history when the guy wrote it, if it didn't have sex or nudity in it, it was a children's book. So there were definitely like parts of the Wind in the Willows that one could arguably be going like, is this actually for kids? And I don't think there was any part in it that was, I would be like, this is like inappropriate. Like the final battle is perhaps a little bit violent for like youngish children. Like, I think there's a certain age where kids, before which kids don't really need to know that guns exist, period. But sort of after that, I think kids can generally grasp a certain amount of violence and it's fine. Anyway, but there was no like lewd content, we'll call it, in that book. So technically it's a kid's book. There was just like certain scenes where I was like, is a kid gonna care? Like, this rat is just lying around his apartment writing poetry. Like, what child is gonna care about this character at this moment? But anyway, that night I was doing, I think, Millie Molly Mandy, which is like very much a children's book. And so to have people saying some of the things they were saying, it was like, wow, like, there are kids watching this. And yeah, I would hope that they would have a parent watching with them who could sort of see like, oop, the chat's not great, so like close the chat window if you have it open and you're with your kid. But at the same time, like, I, as a content creator, I am responsible for what goes on my stream, and that does include, I feel, the chat. And so if I leave licentious or very rude or sexually suggestive message in my chat for any length of time, that implies that I am okay with it. But I'm one person, so I cannot be monitoring the chat 24/7 unless I'm doing something like this art stream where it's very easy for me to have the chat. All of this is to say, I'm going to be a little bit more lenient with the chat rules for now, because I think everyone's had a timeout, and as long as people behave, we'll continue on this way. And if you don't behave, well, then you're going to lose the chat again. Because it's my channel, not yours. One of these days, Trixie and Katia are going to sue me for using their catchphrase, but it is not this day. Is that it? Is that all the Dan the Dads? It is. Okay, so we've got to do the dotting on Dan the Dad, but I'm kind of on a roll, so I kind of want to do some of Allie's now, so I think I'm going to do that. Oh, I didn't put the line on this one, so I'm just going to do the line first. There we go. I'm going to do yep, and yep, and yep, 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 yep. Okay. Cat. Very strong, very bold. For some reason, I'm like very, very aware of like, oh my god, I don't want to burn myself with this iron. Whereas like, I do a lot of other things where it's easy to burn yourself, and I frequently do end up burning myself by accident, and I literally do not care. So I do kind of wonder why, like specifically this wood burning iron, I'm so, like I burn myself on my oven all the time. I don't enjoy it. It's not like a pleasurable experience, but I'm also like not constantly using my oven going like, oh my god, I could burn myself. I kind of wonder if these are all actually the same wood. Like, I have no reason to believe that they're not. It's just some of them burn so differently. But I guess it's all like what piece of the trunk they came from, and let's have my stencil up. Let's go over there. Okay. Yeah, this is looking very similar to how my original free-handed one ended up turning out. So that's good. Sometimes I wonder if I'm making these to give away to the wrestlers because I want to make them something nice, or because I want to use my new business stickers. Because I have business stickers now, because eventually I'm planning on reopening my Etsy. And so I have like storyranger branded stickers. I mean, you can also get like stickers that I've actually designed and put lots of thought into on my Redbubble. Wow, I'm really just like promoting all of my stuff. I've talked about the Patreon, I've talked about my Redbubble, I've talked about Twitter numerous times. I've talked about... What else have I talked about? I didn't talk about Archive of Our Own, but those in the know already know. I'm gonna keep doing the easy parts of Alley Cat and come back to the cursive. Am I terrible for doing that? Probably. Do I care? Not really. The cursive part of her name is hard. Now, you're asking yourself, didn't you freehand that design? Didn't you choose to do cursive? Yes, I did, and it was a stupid decision, but it looks really good. So now I'm stuck with it. Leave me alone. I am just a humble tarantula farmer. That is an Animal Crossing meme. But I am just a humble tarantula farmer. I actually have to play Animal Crossing today. I haven't done that yet. Well, I think I did play a little bit at 5 a.m., but that's not really... That is not sufficient! That is not enough! So, we'll be back tomorrow with a book at bedtime, I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It's a little hard right now because, as I've kind of alluded to a couple times, my family is going through stuff. Essentially, we're probably going to lose someone very close to us. And while, in general, my family does respect my streaming schedule, this is one of those times when I don't necessarily want them to. Like, it doesn't matter that I know updates as they happen, but I kind of want to. But it makes it hard with the stream because I stream using my phone right now. And so if I get a call and I take the call, it cuts the stream out with very little warning, which is partly why I did an art stream, because technical glitches don't matter as much with the art streams. Because I do them in my office and we tend to get technical glitches anyway. The thing about my room as a set is that the router's in my room, because it just worked out like that. So we have a lot less drops than when I do streams here in the office, because the office is technically the farthest point away from the router. So, since with the art streams, people are usually already, well, I mean, I'm used to already, it'll sometimes just cut out. And also we are, the next stream we are starting a new book, and, like with a new book, a fresh beginning, like I kind of want, I like the first stream of a new book to go well, It's sort of like that, the begin as you mean to go on mentality. Which I certainly have, although my last semester of college, I think I was late. I missed one class and then I was late for another class. So sometimes the point is to, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. TM someone on the internet, mom. Okay. You can also tell me if you're watching back on VOD or if you're in the chat right now, what kinds of things would you like to see me woodburn? I know I've had a request from one of my lovely viewers, who is also my friend in real life, but still, they are a lovely viewer, and I love them very much. that they want me to do animals, and I would be open to that. That got a little out of hand, didn't it? Let's just pretend that didn't happen. Try and round this out a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, this is definitely one of the ones where it'll be important that I wash it. I always wash them out in the sink before I start glazing them. I use Krylon glaze is what I use right now. And the reason that I use it is because it's reasonably cheap, and it's what I have, and it's what's probably going to be easiest for me to go out and get. Obviously, with quarantine, I kind of am forced to try to pick one store that has everything, and Krylon is sold at both Canadian Tire and, actually, it might not be at Canadian Tire, but it's definitely sold at Walmart, which is where I can get most of my supplies when I need them. I prefer not supporting Walmart in the same way I prefer not supporting Amazon, but like, a lot of their success model is built on exactly what I need, which is the ability to go somewhere and get basically everything you need all in one trip, which during a pandemic is important. And so, don't tell your parents I told you this, but sometimes one has to weigh one's morals and one's principles against one's own personal abilities at the moment. And sometimes one just has to let some things go. Do I love that Jeff Bezos is going to be a trillionaire when there are millions of people starving and we still have 3,000 people in America dying every day? Actually, I don't know if that's actually still a statistic. I live in Canada. But still, do I think that's right? No, I don't. But when I need 13 things all at once in the middle of a pandemic, and I can order them all from Amazon and pay one shipping fee, do I like that? Yes, I do. I do like that. Okay. Where were we? We were at your whiskers. There we go. Oh, I'm loving how this graphene worked out so far. I don't know if it's going to work as well for Danhausen and Moorhouse. For them, I might just honestly do the etch it version. But for these ones at least, this is working well. And I'm happy about that. Yeah, what 13 things did I order all at once for Amazon? Well, we finally got a hammock stand, which meant that I needed a hammock,
so that we can actually use our hammock stand, because it's kind of important component of the whole hammock deal. And then I got the graphene paper that I've been using tonight and the tracing paper that I've been using tonight. I got light bulbs because I got a new light. That's the other thing where I was like, I want to say, like, it was not a decision I took lightly canceling the stream yesterday, and I know it was the right reasons, and I know it was the right call to do it, but it wasn't easy because I just gotten my light bulb for my new lamp in the streaming area in my room. So now I think we're going to have a lot better light, and then the next thing we're going to work on is sound. But unfortunately, I don't think there's much I can do about sound until I actually get a webcam, which is gonna be a while. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a while because they're all in back order and they're also kind of expensive, and I'm trying not to spend money. It's how is my attempt at not spending money going this night? Well, it was going great until I had to put in an order for all those things. Now, I didn't have to order them all at once, but it's just easier during the pandemic to get everything in one shipment, because then it's only one box to worry about, and it's only like, I'm really sick of the pandemic, honestly. I think a lot of people can say the same thing. So it's not a new idea by far to be sick of living through a global time of upheaval. But it doesn't make it any less true that I am really over this whole pandemic nonsense. I'm finding it harder and harder to get excited about the idea that it might end. Because I'm finding it harder and harder to believe that it is going to end. Which is making it harder and harder to have reasons to be happy in the first place. Which is not good. That's not a healthy mindset, and I am not condoning that mindset among my followers. Please don't think like that. Of course, it is good to have hope.
Good night.
Oh, good night. Here, they can't see you, so. Night, night. Cursive is so hard. And I didn't do this one as well as the last one that I did. But it's gonna be okay. Come on. There we go. That was a burn. God, I mean, my eyes are burning. There we go. You know what? We're gonna try doing a tiny bit of cleanup.
Now I can really see what we're actually working with. And we can clean this up a little bit. There we go. Not as great as the first one, but it is certainly passable. Oh, frick. Okay, there we go, there we go. We've got this, we've got this. There we go, just gently round it out. Let it heat up for a minute. It's fine. You've got time. we go. Certainly starting to wear down this tip a little bit, which is unfortunate, but I think it's one of those things that you just have to accept and eventually buy new tips. Go. Okay, those look, yeah, I'd say those look pretty decent, so let's change tips one more time. Get the damn dad's ones finished by dotting them, and then I'm gonna sign off and keep going on the rest of them. That's gonna be the stream for tonight. also now a little bit of a race to beat the clock because I would like a washroom break. To be fair, it's been almost 3 hours, so I think that's a fair desire. Okay. Ugh. Alright, well. I see, you're supposed to do it directly from the top, not from the side at all. Yeah, what I saved that? I don't care. I'm gonna do it my way. Because it's faster and it's the way I did it for all of the other ones. So, there we go. Oh, it must be 11 o'clock now. Almost. And one more. Let's do it up. I really should get a strop or whatever it's called. I think I have proven that this hobby is going to be a lasting one and not just a fad. I do occasionally go through hobbies where I'm like, I'm gonna love this, and then I don't end up loving it. And when I was younger, that used to leave me with a bunch of supplies for a hobby that I found out I didn't like. But I have a tendency to go new hobby, what things can I buy for this new hobby? Whereas now I try to like with this, I certainly didn't get the absolute cheapest thing. I got like an introductory Weller iron. I was like, you know what? It's also a hot knife, which is something that is useful because I do occasionally need to cut styrofoam. And in a pinch, if I needed to, I could use this as a soldering iron. It wouldn't be the absolute best. but would definitely do in a pinch. And sort of now, as I've been like doing it more and more and going like, yeah, like this is something I like and this is something I definitely want to put the time into to gaining new techniques. I'm like, okay, it's probably time to invest a little bit more in some of the accessories. Okay. Well, that's all, folks. Thank you so much for joining me for this extra long Wildcard Wednesday. It was not a book at bedtime. It was a setting things on fire pyrography stream. Tonight we completed 6 coasters that are ultimately going into my fan housing. Coaster sets. Thank you ever so much for joining me. We'll be hopefully back tomorrow with a book at bedtime. I don't want to make any promises at this time right now, listeners, because the situation is a little touch and go, but we are going to try and be back tomorrow with a book at bedtime and a new book. So anyway, thank you for joining me and have a great rest of the week.